The thought body, as I have often described it, is the root system of our consciousness. Thoughts are roots, words are branches, actions are fruit. If we wish to improve the fruit, we must tend the roots. A careless statement once affected a room. Now it may affect thousands, perhaps millions. A moment of anger can become permanent. A thoughtless comment can spread globally. So many of the problems we face today are not problems of information. They are problems of communication, problems of interpretation, problems of intention, problems of speech, words delivered without kindness, without patience, without understanding, without generosity, without compassion, without love. Peace be with you. Welcome to Evening Communions with Dr. Ken. There's a phrase I've reflected upon for many years. My degree of regret is in direct proportion to my degree of talking. The older I become, the more wisdom I find in these words. Very, very rarely have I regretted a moment of thoughtful silence. Very frequently have I regretted words spoken too quickly, words spoken carelessly, words spoken emotionally, words spoken reactively, words spoken without sufficient thought. This observation reveals something important about the human experience. Words are not trivial. They're not harmless vibrations passing through the air. They're among the most powerful creative forces available to us. Throughout history, the sacred traditions have recognized this truth. The opening of Genesis begins with creation through speech. Ancient sages taught that the universe itself emerged through sound, vibration, or divine expression. The Gospel of John speaks of the Logos, the Word, as a foundational principle of creation. Whether one interprets these teachings literally or symbolically, they point toward a profound reality. Words create worlds. They shape relationships, they shape communities, they shape cultures, civilizations, and before any of these things, they shape us. In previous teachings, I've spoken about personal evolution as humanity's highest purpose. I have discussed the importance of thinking before thinking. I've spoken about consciousness as the root from which our experience emerges. All of those teachings converge here because words are thoughts made manifest. They are the bridge between the inner world and the outer world. What exists silently within consciousness eventually radiates outward through speech. This is why words matter, and it is also why thoughts matter even more. Most people understand the importance of thinking before speaking. Parents have taught this principle for generations. Teachers repeat it. Employers expect it. Even our modern culture, despite its many excesses, generally recognizes the virtue of restraint. Yet there is an even deeper principle, a principle hidden beneath the words themselves. My mother, like many mothers before her, often repeated the saying, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. There is tremendous wisdom in that advice, but there is an even more profound reality beneath it. If you can't think something nice, don't think anything at all. At first glance, this may seem impossible. After all, thoughts simply appear, do they not? Yet mindfulness teaches otherwise. Thoughts arise, but we choose which ones we cultivate, which ones we nourish, which ones we repeat, which ones we allow to become part of our identity. The thought body, as I have often described it, is the root system of our consciousness. Thoughts are roots, words are branches, actions are fruit. If we wish to improve the fruit, we must tend the roots. Most interpersonal conflict begins long before a word is spoken. The argument begins in thought. The resentment begins in thought. The judgment begins in thought. The criticism begins in thought. The gossip begins in thought. The cruelty begins in thought. The words simply reveal what was already growing beneath the surface. This is why the Buddha taught all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Thoughts become words, words become actions. Actions become habits. Habits become character. Character becomes destiny. This process unfolds whether we are aware of it or not, and nowhere is this more visible than in modern life. We live in an age of constant communication. We speak more, text more, post more, comment more, react more, share more, express more. Yet it is worth asking, are we communicating more wisely or merely more frequently? Technology has amplified the reach of our words beyond anything previous generations could have imagined. A careless statement once affected a room. Now it may affect thousands, perhaps millions. A moment of anger can become permanent. A thoughtless comment can spread globally. The consequences of speech have expanded, yet our mindfulness surrounding speech has not necessarily kept pace. The result is predictable: outrage, division, misunderstanding, conflict, anxiety, polarization. So many of the problems we face today are not problems of information. They are problems of communication, problems of interpretation, problems of intention, problems of speech, words delivered without kindness, without patience, without understanding, without generosity, without compassion, without love. The issue is not simply what is said, the issue is the consciousness from which it emerges. Two people may ask identical words while conveying entirely different energies. One speaks from compassion, the other from superiority. One speaks from concern, the other from judgment. One seeks understanding, the other seeks victory. The words may sound similar, the spirit beneath them is entirely different, and it is often the spirit that leaves the deepest impression. This is why kindness matters, not as a social nicety, not as superficial politeness, but as a mode of being. Kindness reflects a consciousness that recognizes our shared humanity. Patience reflects a consciousness that understands imperfection. Generosity reflects a consciousness rooted in abundance rather than scarcity. Understanding reflects a consciousness that values truth more than ego. Love reflects a consciousness aligned with unity rather than separation. When these qualities inhabit our thoughts, they naturally inhabit our words. And when they inhabit our words, they influence the world around us. The opposite is equally true. Words rooted in anger create suffering. Words rooted in fear create fear. Words rooted in judgment create division. Words rooted in resentment create misery. Every day, we are planting seeds through speech. The question is simple: what are we planting? A peaceful life is not built merely through peaceful actions, it is built through peaceful thoughts and peaceful words. This applies to our families, our friendships, our workplaces, our communities, even our relationship with the planet. The collective consciousness of humanity expresses itself through communication. The way we speak about nature influences how we treat nature. The way we speak about one another influences how we treat one another. The way we speak about ourselves influences how we experience ourselves. Words are not separate from reality, they participate in creating it. This realization invites a powerful practice. Before speaking, pause. Ask, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said now? Can it be said more kindly? Can it be said more truthfully? Can it be said more lovingly? Often, silence will emerge as the wiser choice. And when words are truly needed, they will arrive with greater clarity, greater purpose, and greater power. The goal is not less communication. The goal is more conscious communication. To speak less carelessly, to speak more intentionally, to recognize the sacred nature of speech itself, because every word leaves an imprint upon others, upon ourselves, upon the world. And perhaps that's why regret is so often follows excessive talking. Not because words are unimportant, but because they are far more important than we realize. And here's your Dr. Kin challenge. Until we meet again, practice the sacred pause. Before speaking anything of consequence, pause for 3 seconds and ask yourself, will these words increase peace, understanding, kindness, or truth? If the answer is yes, speak. If the answer is no, remain silent. At the end of the duration, reflect on how many conflicts were avoided, how many relationships improved, and how your own inner peace changed. You may discover that wisdom is not found merely in speaking well, it is found in knowing when not to speak at all. Thank you for joining me this evening. We'll see you again soon. Until then, intentional in thought, compassionate in word, mindful in deed, simple, innocent, sincere. Peace be with you.